Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. In continuation to the Fico configuration that we've started for some time ago, I would have completed this video, but because of time series or time interval, so we couldn't complete it. So today we'll continue with the series, which is bank accounting. Bank accounting. So, um, under SAP bank accounting, what does bank accounting means? What does it do? What are the things we can perform under bank accounting? So here under financial accounting, you come to, we have treated general ledger, we have treated accounts receivable, we've treated accounts payable. Now we want to talk about bank accounts, right? So if you click on banks, what are the things that you can perform under the bank? Under the bank, you can create master record, meaning that banks master record. You can create some banks under this bank. You can perform transactions under this bank as well. You can do payments, incoming payments, outgoing payments. You can do bank reconciliations. You can do, manual bank reconciliation, automatic bank reconciliation. You can perform anything bank related items or transaction that you could perform. You can actually do it from this place. But today we'll be looking at some aspect of the bank account side. We'll be looking at some specific aspect of it today, and maybe subsequently in other video we'll be talking about the other aspects of bank accounting. So today we'll look at how to create a bank, how in SCP context, how do you create a bank, how do you create a master record for a bank, right? Then we'll be looking at how to also make payments through bank. These are the things we'll look at. God permit us. So let's start. Without further ado, let's start. So the first thing we look at is how to create a bank. Now on SAP, ways to create a bank. So you know very well that we represent uh, everything we do with GL accounts, right? We do everything with GL. But creating a bank account is a different thing. But first, we need to create a GL that will take in the parameter or the transaction or inputs of the bank. So whatever you are doing, performing at the bank side must also flow directly to the GL. So the first thing we'll do is to create a GL. Good. So let's go. To create a GL, we already know how to do that. We said FS00 is the T code to create a GL. So we'll come over to this place. Now, before now and right now, people still use the concept of the old GL bank or bank GLs, which is you have a GL called main account and you have what we call incoming account, and as well you have something called outgoing account. So first of all, let's say GLs, bank GLs, which will be let me just say which will be main accounts, incoming accounts, and outgoing accounts, right? So what does main account mean? Main account is the actual account. Main account is the actual representation of our actual account in bank, right? We have, let's say we have Zenith Bank in Nigeria here, we have Zenith Bank. And so the main account GL that you have created will reflect what is actually happening in your actual account in the bank. Your incoming account is a clearing account. Incoming account simply signifies every transactions that are coming in into the bank, every incoming flows from customers, from sales or whatever is coming into the incoming account. Outgoing accounts are used to denote every payment that is going outside of the bank. Like every outgoing payment is used or is denoted with outgoing account. I believe we're able to understand what I mean by this explanation. Main account is actually the actual reflection of your GLs or what is happening in your actual bank, while the incoming accounts reflect all incomings into the bank, while outgoing also reflect all payments that are going outside of the bank. So this is how SAP structured it in the past. Now SAP has also come with another concept, which is SAP came to realization that, or SAP feels that since we can create a GL that will houses all sub vendor code, we can have 100 vendor code, 1000 vendor code, and at the end of the day, all of these vendors are reconciled into a reconciliation account, right? Which is the vendor, or you could call it local vendor, a GL. Let me just say GL. So you can have 100 vendor codes, and all of them, whatever posting you are doing into this vendor's code, are indirectly going to the GL, right? The vendor codes, like we've said before, are sub ledgers, while the GLs are the main GL representations, right? So SAP has come up with the concept that If we can do that with the vendors, we can also do that with the banks. So now the concept is you create one main account, and then you have series of you create one main account, you create one incoming account, you create one outgoing account, and then whatever banks you are creating, you are reflecting them into the main account and the outgoing account. So instead of having duplicacy, instead of for every bank account, instead of having uh 3 GLs for every account, some company could have 20 bank accounts. 20 bank accounts. In the case where you have 20 bank accounts, 20 bank accounts, right? SAP in old days expect you to have 3 times, which is 3 times 20, which gives us 60 GLs. You'll be having 60 GLs, 60 GLs. This is the old representations, right? But many companies are still dragging foot on adopting the new concept. We'll still adopt the old concept in this tutorial, and subsequently we'll also explain the new concept of the bank creations. But for in the context of this video, we'll still adopt the old concept while we'll talk about these other ones in other video, like I said. So um so first of all, now we understand what is main account, incoming and outgoing. So let's go and create these GLs. Let's go and create these GLs. No, the concept of creating GLs we have explained before. I won't be explaining that in this video, so I'll just go swift. I'll be swift about it. So first of all, um, let me try make this bigger. Okay, and then so what I'll do first of all, I'll go to so let me just close this down. Let me minimize this. Now I'll just click on create, and then I'll put in 147400, and then I'll click enter on my keyboard, and then I'll click my account GL type. I'll click on balance sheet because every bank's falls under balance sheet. Account grouping, and then I'll select cash and banks. It's my account grouping. All of these I've explained before. I won't be doing that in this video. So we can say Bank, Zenith Bank. I will say main, we'll say main account. We could say, okay, I'll just copy this. Then I'll copy it here to main account. And then I'll click on control data. I'll just create this very, very swiftly. Come to this place. I'll put it for status group. So bank. So the bank, I'll put it to validate. Do I want to validate? Okay. I'll choose this one. I'll just choose this one and I'll just save it. I'll click Ctrl S on my keyboard to save it. I'll click enter, and I've created a main account. Then I'll just quickly create an outgoing account. I can use this as a copy. I'll say copy to one, which is incoming account, and then every parameters for that will also come to this place. Right now, I will change this to incoming. I'll say incoming. I'll change this to incoming as well. Okay, incoming. You could also put the account number. Let's say 077331769. Right, that's an account. You can also put the let's say you could say maybe it's NGN or USD account. So let me just say USD. There it is. Basically, you can use all of these just to denote the nomenclature of the bank. I'll save it, and then but note something under bank, incoming bank. You should always indicate what do you call it, open item management. You should always do that. There are things that I'm not explaining here because there are things I've explained before. So under incoming and outgoing, you should also always indicate open item management. This is very, very important. I'll just save it, and then I'll use it to create outgoing. And like I said, outgoing, I'll take it as 2. So this is my structure of creating my bank, 012, right? And then I'll just change to this to outgoing. Sorry, outgoing. Outgoing, and I'll save it. Sure, the necessary parameter is here. Control dot, okay, fine, great. So now we have created a bank GLs. right? We have created bank GLs. The next thing we need to do, right? Now we have created a bank GL. So what do we do first? So we need to also create a house bank. We need to create a house bank. So what is an house bank, right? So let me go back to my Excel sheet, and then okay. So we created a bank GLs, and what do we name for our bank GLs? Let me quickly put it here. 14740. Sorry, our bank GL is 14740. Okay, 14740. That's our name. Let's say 1474022. And comment. These are what we have created. Now we'll create an house bank. House bank and an account ID. Accounts. Okay, let's see. We created an house bank account ID. Okay, let's leave it as this. Now, house bank and account ID. So, what is house bank? So, house bank is simply the bank name. Don't confuse yourself with this. Different notes may give you different definition, but in general, house bank, what we use house bank is to denote the bank. Now you have in Nigeria, we have Access Bank, we have VT Bank, we have Zenith Bank, we have Jais Bank, we have every other banks, right? On SAP, you also need to represent the bank name. So we use numeric keyword like 4 numeric keywords to denote the house bank, or 5 numeric keywords as you may want. So you need to represent it in SAP too. You need to represent the bank on SAP as well, house bank. Now we've created a GL, right? We've just created a GL, but we have not created the bank itself. We have just created the GL that every operations that is up, or every operation that is performed in that bank comes to this GL, right? That is from GL point of view, right? So we need to create an house bank. So how do we create an house bank? So let's note this, right? And then let's create an house bank. I'll just open this one. So to create an house bank, all of this you can see them under financial accounting, under banks, right? You can see all your activity under this. You can come to this place and then select. But I already need the T code, and you can also find FI12. You can find, and from there you see. So there's a T code called FI12 underscore house bank. Okay, you can see another one is called underscore H bank. So I'll create this thing steady, and then so like you can see under master record, there are informations you got. All of these are things we've talked about, so I do not really want to dwell on it. So before house bank, there's something called bank key. We also need to note that there's something called bank key, there's something called house bank, there's something called account ID, which I will explain in detail by the time I get to the screen. All of these are things we need to create. So what is house bank? That I've explained. What is bank key? So bank key, let me go to the system first. So let's say we are creating bank master record here, which is FI01 create. Let's do this first. And then you see your bank country. This is the bank key. The first thing on the screen here is bank key, right? So I will explain. So bank country, let me put the bank country first. So okay, let me explain what is bank key. So bank key is usually used to denote um for every bank, the way it operates in Nigeria, right? For uh every bank is regulated by CBN. So every bank has a unique code with CBN, right? Just like your CAC document, your CAC registration number. So you have a unique registration number for every of your business or every of your company, right? Same goes to the bank. So bank key is used to denote the specific key, character, unique code that the banks identify with. So now we say bank city. The bank city is Nigeria, right? And then I'll come to this place, bank key. So let's say we can actually browse this and see which one is for. So just hold on. Just hold on. Okay, so let me see bank key. Let me see Zenith bank key. Well, the Google may not know what is bank key for Zenith, but when I say okay, it's actually so this is Zenith bank key. It's a unique code, right? It's a unique code for Zenith. So we can just copy ZEBNG. Just open it. Let me open it now. Okay. So you can see this is a unique code for Zenith Bank. Can you see Swift code? Zenith Bank. It's also called. So initially when I said the system, Google may not recognize what is bank key because bank key is the word for SAP. bank key. But in the system or in Nigeria, as the case could be, bank key is a Swift code. Is a Swift code is a unique code for just Zenith, right? Is a Swift code, a unique code for Zenith Bank. So we use that as our bank key in Nigeria. I believe I'm able to explain this better. So I'll put that here, and then I'll click enter, and then I'll put the name of the bank. This is Zenith Bank, right? Nigeria. Let me just say NG. Region. I can just say Lagos. Based on what I saw on that internet, let me see what I have there. This Ajosha Adigun Street is Zenith, is in Lagos. I'm sure of that. I could also copy this, but I will just leave all of this and then leave all this information. Let's see Ajoshi. Let's see Ajoshi. The street, city is Lagos. I'm sure. Headquarter of Zenith is in Lagos. Bank branch. Let me just see Keja. Sure, most of all this in Keja. And then there are some other parameter here, right? You can see Sweet BIC. Sweet BIC is also the same thing as this, right? It's also the same thing as this. It's also the same thing as this. I could just leave it as this and then save it. I'll save it. So you can see bank this has been created, right? That's fine. So the first thing we have created the unique code for the bank. We have created the unique code for bank. So you can change this unique code, but you can't change the code itself, but you can change the name, you can change the text, the address. These are the things you can change from here. But that's not to. So let's see, in case people may want to like, okay, what are the things we can change? You can see you can't change this anymore. You can only change this address and some other information, but you can't change it. You can't change this key anymore. Rather, you delete it and then create another one, right? So that's that for this. That's that for this. So I'll just close this part. So bank key, like I said, is the Swift code, is the unique code for respective banks, right? And so I'll just leave it as that. Just need to move fast. So the next thing, like I said, now we have created a bank key, which is the Swift code. Now we need to create the bank itself, right? So so we can use this to create the bank, and you can let's try this. So it will ask you for the company code. You just need to put the company code and then continue, and then it will bring you to this place, right? And then if you click on new entry, then you can start putting the information. So the house bank, like I said, we said we are using a maybe let's say Zenith 0, okay, 00. I can say Zenith 00, right? I'm using 4. I'll just use 4. Then the country, I'll say NG is the country. Now, the bank key we have created, remember we said we have created a unique key for the bank. Now, the bank key, I'll just select Zenith because that was created. Okay, I need to fill this information, which is country, NG. And can you see, this is the one we have created. And so the system has recognized that we only have one bank key for Nigeria. That's why the system prompt gave us this. But should in case you don't have the bank key, you can also create it here, right? So I'll click on enter. Do you understand what I just said? If you don't have a particular bank key, you can create another one and you can create it directly from this screen. That's what it means. You can create directly from the moment you put it, you just click on create and then you do all the necessary other thing and then you save it. But because we have created a bank key before, and that's why the system allows us to just select. So all I just need to do, if you have some other information like telephone number, contact, whatever, all of these other ones, we'll talk about it in future videos. Like we cover the EDR partner profile, data media exchange. We'll leave all of this part and just save it, right? We'll talk about it in another video. So I'll save this and then, sorry, I'm seeing something called test data. Okay, okay, so let me create, I'll just say F5. Let me see F5 um, bank training from bank, or let me say bank accounting training. I'll leave it as this and then I'll save it. Okay, there's an error there, but that's fine. So we're able to create. So let me go on my Excel sheet and update what we have created. And I'll say we've created the bank key. So before this, let me also identify here. I've created the bank keys, and we've also created the house bank. So created the house bank. Okay. Now, what is remaining is the account ID. So how do we go about that? So we've created an house bank here now, which is fine, right? So let's go back. Let's go back. So so that's fine. These are the things that we need to create. So now we want to create an account ID, right? So slash NFI2 underscore. Um, Let me just leave it as this. So slash NFI2 is fine. So it will bring you to this screen. To bring you to this screen, and what you just need to do is to look for you need to look for your company code, which is IQ01, company code, and you can see it. You select it, and then you select your house bank. Now, if you select your house bank, you see it has identified that we're creating an house bank already for um for this company code, right? And then you just need to click on bank account, and then it will give you this read access only, because now on SAP, S4HANA particularly, you can create your bank account on the SAP's a default SAP screen or a default SAP GUI. You will rather need to rather need a Fury application, or you need let me just say Fury application. So you no longer create bank accounts with directly on SAP. You create them via an application and app, right? A bank application. So that application, you can find them on Fury. That's where you can find it. So if you have a Fury application, you just go there and look for bank account, and then you do that. So because we are here, right? We are using the screen, the GUI screen. I'll click on create bank account. So now I want to create a bank account, and that's where you also that's where we indicate the currency of the GL. That's where we put some other information there. But because this is my default browser, so instead of using this, I'll just copy the URL. Copy the URL. Sorry, copy this URL, and then I'll just close this. Let me just minimize it and go to I'll just go to the Google Chrome. I'll go to the Google Chrome, and then I'll just paste what I copied, and I'll paste what I copied. So I'll paste it, and then I'll click on enter, and then the system would ask me to put this parameter. So I'll put the user. The user is same thing as what we are using to log into the system. Marapa 7. So I'll log in, and then the system will take me to the screen where I can create my bank account. You know. So so here we are. So here we are. So let me just reduce the screen layout. Okay, I think we're fine now. Okay, so the opening date. So what date do you want to create? Normally if you want to create a bank account, you go to the bank and give them all your information, your bank, whatever. So these are the things you want to do here. Like you want to create a bank with the bank. You go to the bank, you say you want to open an account, right? You want to open an account with the bank. Similar thing we are doing on SAP, right? So the opening date, I'm assuming yesterday is the opening date. Let's say 13th 09 2025, right? And then I'll just put this date as the closing date, right? The system has automatically fetched that anyway, so I don't really need to do anything. Now it's asking me for the company code. I'm saying AQ01 is the company code I want, which is my company code, right? And the account holder is what? The account holder is let me say IPRA Consulting Solution Limited, right? Now the bank country is where is in Nigeria. The bank key, we have created a bank key, so we'll just fetch the bank key here, right? We'll just fetch a bank key, and you see this is the bank key we created. Can you see how these things are fusing together? Now I've selected the bank key, right? You can see every other information has come up. So the currency. Now this is where I will indicate the currency of the company, because when you go to the bank, you tell them the currency. You tell them whether I want to open a domiciliary account or I want to open a Nigerian bank account, which is NGN, right? You say USD, right? Now the account number. So let me see. This we are doing is just we have created a bank account already. What we are just doing is bringing them on SAP, right? SAP is just like any other system with garbage in, garbage out, meaning that whatever you put into the system is what the system would report, right? So the account number, let's assume the account number is 077 33176995. Right? So I'll click enter. And what kind of this thing is it? Is it a current account or is it a savings account? I'll just use the current account. I'll say it's a current account and I'll just select current account. I'll select this one and then I'll click enter on my keyboard to see if there are other informations. So there are no other information. So now I'll go to Ask Bank Account Connectivity. Right? This is very important. I need to connect them. You click on add, and then you come to this. So you have your house bank here. So here you need to put your the account ID now. The account ID, let me explain what this account ID means, right? So SAP expect that in a particular bank, which is Zenny Bank, now you can have 3 or 4 banks with Zenny Bank. You get Zenny Bank is an house bank, which is a bank, right? And a company can have 3 or 4 banks. It can have a USD bank account. The company could also have a Naira account, could have another domiciliary account, could have another maybe you understand. So the account ID is used to denote each of the accounts that you have with any bank. That's what it means. The account ID is used to denote each of the bank you have with any bank. So I'll just go ahead and say maybe ZE01, which is let's say the first bank, the first account I have. So I'll click enter on my keyboard to see. And then the GL account. So the system is asking what GL. So I'll go inside and look for the GL. You know, we have created a GL, right? So I'll go inside and search for GL. I'll just click on go and then I'll select a GL. So here we'll select the Zenny Bank, which is the main account. That's what we'll select here. And then I'll leave every other information here. I'll just save it. So you just come here and save. Now specify a value of account description before you save. Specify a value. Let me see what's maybe there's something I'm missing. Okay, sorry, there's something I'm missing. Okay, so sorry, it's asking me for the description, account description, right? Which I failed to put. So I'll just put account description. I'll say ICRA. I'll just say ICRA US ministerial account. Let me say domiciliary account. Let me see yeah, account. Right, I'll leave it as this, and then I'll go back to the connectivity, and then I'll save it now. I just want to confirm that everything is fine. So I'm saving it, and as you can see, bank account, ICRA domiciliary account is created. You know, that's what I created, right? And so you can see it has been created. So if you go back to SAP, then you go back to this account, you just need to refresh it. Just go outside and say F512, and then I come back to this place. I just need to look for my company code, which is IQ01, and then I'll select it, select my house bank, and then I'll select, because I've created one. If you have created maybe two, what do you call it, outbound, it will give you a list where you can select. Because, and also if you have more than 2 3 account IDs, it will also give you a list instead of calling it free. So this is it. You can see this is my all of the information I created there has come over to this place. Can you see that? Can you see that? This is fine. Now we have been able to create, so we've been able to create um our GL. So what are the things we've been able to do based on our Excel sheet? We've been able to create a bank GL, so we've been able to create a bank key. We've also been able to create an house bank and an account ID. Right? These are the things we've been able to do. Now, what's the next thing? So we have successfully created a bank. Now we need to post into the system. We need to let's run a transaction that involves the bank. Let's run a transaction that involves the bank. So what do? We go back to our SAP, and then the first thing we do is that let's assume we have a vendor, because you need a vendor and you need to post an invoice to the vendor. But at this point, I want to assume that we don't have any vendor. So let's go inside first 00. I want to assume we don't have any vendor and we don't have GLs that we need to post to, right? You can see we already have skeletal GLs here. So let's quickly create a GL. Let's create an expense GL. Let's say X6100 and for, let me see, this will work. Okay, let me see. I'll use primary cost of revenue. Let me just do primary cost of revenue, or let me use primary cost of revenue now. I think all of these I've explained before. And then let me pick account group. Let's say operating expenditure. I hope it's allowed. Good. Now, let me say transport local, transport local. Sorry, transport local. I'll do the same thing here. Transport local, local. Right. And then I'll quickly come to control data. I'll leave all of this thing here. Then I'll come to this place and get a full status group. I'll just use a cost account. Okay. And then I'll just save it. So okay. Sorry, I'm supposed to indicate the retain any accounts, and the retain any accounts I've created is this, which is this. I'll just put it there. I'll save it. Right. So this is fine. I'll save it now. The cost level category was not specified. That's not an issue though. So I'll leave this. So I've saved this now. Now, I also need to create a a vendor reconciliation account. I also need to quickly create a vendor reconciliation account. So let me quickly create that vendor reconciliation account. Let's say maybe to fill out this requirement. Okay, let me say 22005. Um, 3. Okay, fine. Now all of this code I'm creating, I've explained this thing before. I don't want to explain that again. Record account. Leave this account grouping. Account grouping. Let me say liability. Hopefully, okay, fine. And then I'll say local vendor. Mhm. Sorry, local vendor. uh, record. Let me just say local vendor, and then I'll do the same here. Just say local vendor. I'll come to control data here, and then I'll pick vendor probably because if I don't do this, I'll be able to see it when I'm creating my vendor. I think this is fine. I just need to put my sister group. And what do I put here? But I just put reconciliation accounts. So having a lot of reconciliation account. Let me just say recon. I'll say the one that's reconciliation account. Let me see next. Next. Okay, let me put this reconciliation account. Okay, fine. This is good. I can save it. I've saved this local vendor now. Now we have created a vendor. Look, that's the GL for vendor, and we've created an expenditure. We have not created a what do you call it? So let me note this thing, please. Let me note the GLs that I want to post to. Sorry, I'm taking a longer time. I don't want the video to get longer like this. So let's say I'll just put it somewhere here. That's expense account, right? Expense account. And then let me quickly create the vendor. So if I'm creating a vendor, I'm using business partner, which is BP, to create a vendor. And sorry,